Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, a PGA Tour player, Andrew Novak.
What's up, everyone? We got another week of playoffs in the books. We're down to our final four teams, and things are getting very interesting.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. This season, we have also partnered with Wager Games. They are giving our listeners a $100 deposit match on the Sleeper app. Head over to our Instagram page, click the link, promo code, get your $100 deposit match. I'm looking at it right now. I like the Travis Kelce, more than 69.5 reception yards on a Sunday. Okay, you said it. We had some upsets, got some new coach hirings, some openings remain. Cowboys stay relevant as ever in the worst of ways. We're gonna get into all of it. Let's start with the most exciting game, the Sunday night football game. Bills defeat the Ravens 27-25. You and I were both on the Bills this week. I came out and said straight up Bills money line. You had +1.5 either way. It both hits. I liked Josh Allen just a little bit more in the playoffs than I do Lamar Jackson. To me, it felt like this game was whichever quarterback does less is going to win the game, and that's kind of how it turned out. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean, neither had like huge numbers in this game. I thought these were just very evenly matched teams for the most part in this game. It just seemed like the back and forth, it was just destined to be a close game. And I think it's like a game where if you're a Ravens fan or even somebody in the organization, you feel kind of bad you didn't have Zay Flowers because that really might have been the difference in this one.
Yeah, if they played this game again, I don't know if we have the same result. If they play this game 10 times, I could see Baltimore winning 5 of them.
But yeah,
I mean, they very easily could have tied it there at the end with Andrews. Andrews had probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him have. Obviously that drop there at the end on the 2-point conversion, but he also had a couple other drops throughout the game.
yeah, tough game. Even like realistically though, if he catches that ball for the 2 point conversion, I think the Bills would have had about a minute and a half, and
Yep.
I think two timeouts still.
Yep.
Like they're
Yeah,
probably getting a
I
field goal up. It's with just the way that Josh Allen is.
I do agree. I think they would have at least gotten a field goal out of it and won. Yeah, Zay Flowers out. Too many mistakes, turnovers, drop passes in these types of playoff games. Playing Josh Allen, playing the Bills. You can't be trying to do too much and making, I guess in golf terms, because like making a double bogey out of a bogey.
Mhm.
I think that's what Lamar did on that one play where bad snap, tried messing around with it, ended up fumbling it and giving it back the other way.
Yeah, I mean that's just like that. It's literally that's playoff football. I feel like a lot of it just comes down to making the right plays at the right times and not having the disaster. I feel like that's what Tom Brady made a full career of, just taking advantage of other teams messing up. And you're kind of seeing it with Mahomes right now in his stretch.
All right, so next week the Arrowhead Invitational, featuring the Buffalo Bills. They played each other this year, November 17th at Buffalo. Bills won that game 30-21. This is a different scenario. This is the playoffs. This is at Arrowhead. Do the Bills have a chance here?
Yeah, I think the Bills have a chance. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be drag them out fight between these two teams. But in the playoffs, we've kind of seen how this game goes, and it tends to stick to that script.
Yeah, it does. Let's get to the other game of the day. Eagles defeat the Rams 28-22. Uh, I was on the I was on the Eagles in this game -6. That's exactly how it turned out. -6. It's a push for the podcast. I will say I did cash this out when they were up 28-15. So on my book, I took a win, but for the pod's sake, taking a push. The score here didn't really feel like how the game went. In fact, the Rams had a chance to win the game on the final drive. To me, what that really says is that is the effect of a great coach with an okay roster versus I still hate Sirianni, so I'm going to say it, a bad coach with a great roster. I think McVay kept them in this game. I don't think the Rams roster is that great. And I think the score of this game is way closer than it should have been. That's kind of how the Eagles have been playing all year and recently.
Yeah, it felt like the game just was over when Saquon hit that bomb there at the end. And then like kind of 10, 15 minutes later, you turn around like, wait a minute, this thing is like definitely not over yet. It was kind of like a weird, you know, 5 minutes there or so with the Rams kind of trying to move the ball down the field to go try and win the game. But uh, I I see what you're saying with Sirianni and like that it should have been more of a blowout, but like the weather was bad. The Rams are still a solid team, and it's just a playoff game. Like weird stuff can happen, and he keeps getting them wins.
All right. So this week, Hurts went 15 of 20, 128 yards through the air. Last week versus Green Bay, 13 of 21, 131 yards through the air. They're winning games. Obviously, those yards through the air are not great. AJ Brown this week, 2 for 7, 14 yards. Last week versus Green Bay, 1 for 3, 10 yards. Is that a problem, or are they choosing to play this way in your eyes?
I think they absolutely chose to play this that way against the Rams because they knew what their run game could do against the Rams. They did the same thing in the regular season and ran for like 300 yards on the Rams. So I think it was definitely game plan influenced, and then also just the weather factor with how it is. Like it's January and you're in Philadelphia, like it's going to be kind of a crapshoot. I think you're just generally going to see less success passing, but I do think that this past week specifically was game plan related.
Yeah, no, I think it's game plan related. I think that they want to throw the ball. If they want to get it to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, I think they can. I have no problem with them playing this way, having Hurts throw the ball 20 times. It's kind of I'm gonna use another golf analogy here, but like they keep hitting 3 wood off the tee and they're hitting it down the middle of the fairway every time, and the media is like, "Why are you not hitting driver?" And it's like I'm hitting my 3 wood 310 down the middle. Like I don't need the driver right now. It's kind of what it feels like to me. They can hit the driver, but they're choosing not to. So this week coming up, we'll see if they stick to that. Saquon's getting plenty of touches this week, 26 attempts. Last week, 25 attempts. We'll see if he sticks with that 25, 26 attempts plus receptions. I mean, it's the Saquon Barkley Eagles right now.
Yeah, I mean he's making that contract look really good.
Rams, what do they need to do in the offseason? I mean, they're solid. Their conferences, their division's a little weak. I still think they're going to be good next year. What do they really need to address in the draft?
Yeah, I think that they did a good job in this past draft. Obviously, it looks like they hit on Verse. Verse has been great. They've, replaced some of the pass rush aspects that they lost with Aaron Donald going to retirement. I do think they're going to have to shore up the run defense, though. I don't know. You've got some younger players on that defensive line. Um, Maybe it's just some maturity there in the run fits, but I'm guessing that adding some good linebacker play could help against or help with this run defense. Um, Obviously, it pretty much bit them the entire game against Philadelphia with Saquon running wild against them. So I think that would probably be a key issue that needs to be addressed offensively. Like I think the weapons are there. I think they're in a good spot. The O line, I think, is very serviceable. So you're in your window with Stafford. Uh, I think Sam Fran obviously can still be a threat when healthy, but I do think it is a reasonable division for them to win.
Yeah, going forward, I mean Stafford is obviously going to be leading that team next year, but I feel like the league is moving towards quarterbacks that are running. I'd like to see Sean McVay get a athletic quarterback in the next year or two. I don't think this is the draft to do it. There's just a lot of good quarterbacks, especially in the NFC now. I'm not sure if Stafford can get them to a Super Bowl anymore. I don't know if he's the Stafford of a couple of years ago. So where they really need to improve, I think it's quarterback. I think they can be really good year in, year out with Stafford, but until they get like that next guy up, I don't think they're going to be winning any trophies.
But they're not going to replace Stafford with a quarterback this offseason to like fix it going into next year, though.
No, they're not. So that's something that, maybe not this season, but next season
I
they
feel like,
address in
yeah,
the
I feel
draft,
they,
and so what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to be able to be good enough to get to a Super Bowl or a NFC championship in the next year or two with Stafford quarterbacking that team. I think it just limits them what they can do.
I mean, Stafford's not like Mahomes or anything, but I think if you get that defense in a good spot, I think he has two or a few good weapons. Cooper Cup's obviously like definitely getting to the back end there. We'll see where that kind of
I saw an
situation ends
interview
up.
with Cup
But
today. Cup today said he is nowhere close to done. I think he's got 2 years
yeah,
left on his contract, so it's very likely that that Cup will be there. I know they were talking about trading him earlier this year, but I still think they'll be there. They're gonna probably be looking to draft his replacement this draft, though. Probably more pressing of a need than looking replacement quarterback.
I would agree with that.
All right, Commanders defeat the Lions 45-31. I felt like the Lions went with the wrong game plan here. Interceptions everywhere, turnovers, wide receivers throwing interceptions. Now you lose your offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that in a bit. You're probably going to lose your defensive coordinator. Did the Lions' window for the Super Bowl just close up?
I don't think their window closed just because they made it this far with like half their team literally injured. If they get a little bit better injury luck, like yes, losing Ben Johnson is really going to suck. It's definitely going to hurt that offense because he's going to be very hard to replace. But that is going to be one of the most coveted jobs now because he's shown what you can do with the pieces in that offense and that offensive line. I think if you can replace him with another good offensive coordinator, and then you get a year where the defense stays healthier, absolutely, I don't see any reason why next year the Lions can't repeat, put themselves back in a good position, and actually succeed.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't made my mind up on how I feel about how the Lions are going to be after the departure of their OC. Let's talk about the actual game here. I just straight up didn't like the game plan. Gibbs had 14 rush attempts. He was averaging 7.5 yards yards per carry. In the fourth quarter, it felt like the Lions started pushing a little bit, going for it. When they probably didn't have to. I I re- Last week on the pod, I said if this game gets high scoring, it favors the Commanders, and that's exactly what happened. Um, I thought the Lions were going to try to run the ball more, shorten the game, not give Jaden so many opportunities. When you have, what is it? Goff had 3 picks and Jamison Williams had a pick. So when you give Commanders 4 extra possessions there plus a fumble, I mean it's tough to really do a lot. But I don't like letting Jamison Williams throw it. Did you? I mean, did you rewatch that play at all of Jamison Williams throwing it? He threw it into triple coverage is being generous. There was a fourth guy floating there too. It was like 3.5 men on the receiver. I just don't like the game plan. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that specific play was covered up. He should have either run with the ball or I guess you can't technically throw it away, which I didn't know that until like this year. If you run like a reverse play, you're not allowed to like throw the ball away. The only player that can throw it away is the quarterback.
I
I
didn't know
didn't
that.
even know
So
that
he's
was
got
a thing.
to basically tuck and run and take a couple yard loss or
Or otherwise, I guess it's grounding. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I literally learned that rule this year.
interesting.
Never knew that was a thing. I always wondered why the guy didn't just like throw it away more. But yeah, no, I feel like that is kind of how the Lions are though. Like they live and die by that, and unfortunately, they in this game they died by like their aggression,
I
the
don't
way they
know
attack
if
you.
they're aggressive, but they're not a team that has golf throwing the ball 40 times week in and week out, which is what happened. I think they should have just leaned
I
into the
feel
run
like they
game,
have
given
been.
given Gibbs and Montgomery more attempts than what they did. Shorten that game.
I feel like the
They could have
Lions
won
have
this.
been
They
that
could have won
team.
this game with the personnel they had with a different
Yeah,
game plan. Is what I believe.
yeah. I feel like the Lions have done that in games this year though, where golf airs it out a ton, and that's just how the game script ends up being. There are also games where golf throws it 18 times because they're up 30 in the by halftime, and so then they're just running it all game. I mean, they definitely tried to get their guys going, but Montgomery basically was not having any luck getting anything going, and Gibbs had hit a couple nice runs, but uh, they were kind of behind, and they were trying to run their offense, and yeah, I really, they scored 30 something points, like with even with all the turnovers, like the defense just wasn't able to stop Jaden Daniels enough. I think it comes down to Washington just being good.
Jaden Daniels is just that dude.
Yeah,
All right, last game
seriously.
of the weekend. Chiefs defeat the Texans 23-14. When the weather cools down, Kelsey heats up. Travis Kelsey, 7 of 8, 117, a touchdown. Um, Tore up the Texans. Listen, winning an Arrowhead in the playoffs, it's a damn near impossible task to start with. When your kicker goes 2 for 4 and misses an extra point on top of that, it's yeah, you get the point. It's you're not gonna win. You had the Texans plus 8.5. So what is that? Losing by 9 points with all of those misses.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I mean the Texans that was really the right side to be on.
The process was there. The
How they
execution
didn't cover that
flopped,
was
but
not good.
yeah,
Yeah, it.
they outgained them by like 100 yards and stuff. Yeah, the process was good, but just got Chiefs. So
Yep. Mahomes. He had 7 rushes, season high. That's very telling to me. I mean, they get into the playoffs, they had their bye week, and now all of a sudden Mahomes is like, yeah, I will run the ball when I have to. Um, I
you
like,
you kind of called this. Like
yeah, no,
you
I
said
said this exactly. I said I didn't say that the Chiefs were going to win a million games, but what I said was
they
they're
don't
not.
care until
Yeah,
the yeah.
they don't care about the regular season.
I
The
mean,
one
funny enough,
seed, the one seed is important. Getting that
right.
bye is
Yeah, yeah.
very important. But stat lines, fantasy, Mahomes, Kelsey, I just it doesn't matter to them. I mean, this is like a typical
Yeah.
Mahomes stat line we see now: 16, 25, 177, a touchdown, even throw a pick or two in there sometimes. Yeah. All right. What's your opinion on the refs? People love talking about it.
Yeah, it's not a good look when Mahomes is like very obviously fishing for it during the game. Like, yes, everybody knows like the Chiefs have gotten a pretty favorable whistle, like multiple occasions. But like when Mahomes is like clearly flopping out of bounds to try and like draw extra, it's like that's not really a good look.
On that specific play, they didn't flag anything. He was
No, and
flopping.
they didn't. But I thought that was like that's not really a good look. Like obviously, like the one earlier they flagged. Like I'm not surprised they flagged it. I feel like they always throw that flag there, but I don't know what you're supposed to do as a defender. Like he's still up, still up, still up, and then he just hits the deck right in front of you. Like I don't know how you're supposed to hold back.
There's definitely an art to it. I don't know when fans are blaming the refs, that means you guys have probably gotten to the dynasty type era.
Yeah,
And that's where we are with the Chiefs.
yeah.
They're too good,
I mean,
so we have to blame the
anytime
refs
a
because we can't figure out why
yeah,
they're losing. Like,
anytime a call in like especially this week, like in this Chiefs Bills game, the first call that goes the Chiefs' way,
but you know
all you're
what's
going to see
funny
all
is
over Twitter is
the
like
worst
everybody
the
freaking out.
worst call of the weekend was probably that pass interference on Keon Coleman, not in the Chiefs game.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And no one's talking about that. No one. But Mahomes gets hit, a hair late, and like that's what everyone wants to talk about.
yeah,
Um, all right, I want to mention the Texans for 1 second. Do you think they're going to be satisfied every year, winning their division, getting to the playoffs, not making it to a Super Bowl? I mean, it's only been 2 years with CJ
yeah.
Stroud, but
I mean,
Is this okay for the fan base?
you're still in your or your rookie quarterback contract window basically. So I do think that starting next year, like that clock is starting to tick on getting that right. Just based on eye test, this year was definitely a step back from the previous year. They just CJ didn't look as good. The offense didn't work. definitely need to address the offensive line, I would think, this offseason. Get that short up because he was getting hit entirely too much, too many sacks, and it definitely, from what I could tell, looked like it was bothering him in his play. He just didn't look as confident, wasn't hitting throws that he had been hitting. Um, I I mean, Houston should be looking to win Super Bowls right now. Like they are in a window that's going to be probably the best they'll have because this is the cheapest you're going to have Stroud for his career. Like they kind of need to get it figured out pretty quick.
I agree with the points you're actually making. The problem is, I looked this up. I was like, what's the farthest the Texans have ever made it in the playoffs? And it's the divisional round. They've made it there 6 times and they've lost all six. They've never made it past the divisional round. So you got to look at perspective here. They've never made it out of a conference championship game. Or they've never made a conference championship game in the same division as CJ Stroud. You got Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. I mean, it's going to be very hard to get out of a divisional game. So yeah, from a Houston Texans fan like standpoint, I think this is fine. Winning the division every year and getting to the Super Bowl or getting to the playoffs. Um, not making a conference championship game. Like I think their fan base kind of has to be okay with that. Like that's what they've proven. They've never made it there. But I think most importantly, this makes them forget about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
Got to be a
yeah, I
pretty
mean,
big deal to the Texans right now. Like people completely forgot that he played for the team with what Stroud is doing.
yeah.
All right.
They
Yeah.
they got it squared away very quickly. I am, as a Panthers fan, I'm well aware of what quarterback purgatory can look like. So yeah, hitting on a your very next go around at trying to find a franchise quarterback is definitely kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to some talking points here. The big one of the week, Ben Johnson, hired as the Bears head coach. Effect on the Lions. Obviously they just had one of their best regular seasons ever. Do you think this is going to have like a large negative effect on the Lions, a minimal negative effect? Where do you see him fall next year?
I think it's hard to fully know until you see who they replace him with.
I agree.
I would be surprised if there's not some sort form of drop off. I don't see anybody coming in and it just going just as smooth as it was before. Uh, I don't think you will see the Lions drop to like a bottom half of the league offense either. So I think the Lions are still going to have a solid offense. I just, depending on how they hit this higher, is how far they fall, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think their offense is still going to be just as good if you just lean into Montgomery, Gibbs, and then
The O line.
do your play
Yeah.
action every now and then. Like whoever's taking this OC job, I think is going to do pretty well. What about the Bears? What kind of effect on the Bears do you think Ben Johnson's going to have? Positive, negative? What's he going to do with that team?
Yeah, I think this is the best possible scenario for the Bears. I think you get some excitement in that building. You get obviously a coach that people have been talking about for years as maybe the hottest commodity as far as, you know, potential new head coach. And they were able to get him. You have a young quarterback that disappointed this year. Like you can't ask for anything more. You bring in maybe one of the best offensive minds to help work with him. Like this is kind of what you want. Um, I also kind of see how if this doesn't work out, then as a Bears fan, you're going to kind of be like, this may never work because this it really does seem like a perfect storm. You got your first overall pick. You're getting, you know, the guy that's considered the best head coaching candidate in the league. Like, if you can't make it all work from here, like that seems pretty hopeless. But it's going to be a lot tougher than what it just appears as because they're in maybe the toughest division in the NFL right now, and probably tough for the two conferences. So I think you obviously have to be happy as a Bears fan, but I don't think it's just going to instantly lead to like success for them either.
No, I don't. I don't think it will. I mean, I feel like every offseason there is a like hotshot offensive coordinator hire to a head coach, and it rarely like works out perfectly like you think. Um, I mean, the history of the Bears organization, you'd think that one of these quarterbacks and coach combos would have done something. Like people were high on them. They've had high picks before. Every time it just doesn't work out. So until I see it work out, like what I'm led to believe like I don't think that Ben Johnson is going to succeed with the Bears, especially with that division that they're in. I'm still under the impression that the Chicago Bears will not be successful until they have a indoor facility, an indoor stadium to play. So that's my thought on it.
I think that would be a big step forward towards trying to help out young quarterbacks that come in. Obviously, Josh Allen didn't need it, but Josh Allen is a one of one. He is literally Superman. So
Yeah. Yep. All right. Commanders, they are in the final four, obviously. So got me thinking. Dan Snyder, haven't heard a lot from him. Do you think in his own mind, do you think he personally thinks like, look what I built? I made all that, or do you think he looks at the Commanders and thinks like, oh man, like look what I'm missing out on. Look what I could have had.
yeah, Dan Snyder can think whatever he wants. He did not build this. This is not his. He did not do this. He gets no credit for this. And I don't think that any Commanders fans would attribute any of this to him. I think this is more for the fans to be like, look what happened when you left. And I think I would side more with that than trying to give him any credit towards this. This is Dan Quinn, this is Jaden Daniels, this is the new wave, the new era in Washington, and this is them.
No, I couldn't agree more. I can just picture Dan Snyder though behind closed doors being like, like
Yeah,
I built this over the past 5 years. Like this was my my doing. Like an
sure, man.
egotistical billionaire, uh, or sorry, narcissistic billionaire thinking there. All right, Super Bowl pick. Here are the odds. Eagles lead at plus 180. Chiefs after that plus 240. Bills plus 260. Commanders plus 650. Way back there. Who you got at this moment?
I just when it gets to this part in the year, I've just given up betting against the Chiefs. So I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah. I agree. I don't. I don't think the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles should be favored. I like the Chiefs there at plus 240. All right, last talking point we're gonna get into Cowboys coaching search. It's getting absolutely comical at this point. The leading candidate for the coach for the Cowboys is Brian Schottenheimer. He is the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. So they just let go of their head coach. And now they're thinking about making their offensive coordinator the head coach. Like it doesn't make sense. Like they're realistically there are no solid candidates for this head
Yeah.
coach position. It's not an attractive job. Who do you think takes this? What
So
do you give me your thoughts?
typically, typically when you hire in-house, that comes from you're doing very well and the incumbent guy took a better job somewhere else because they earned it. And so you hire in-house because things are going so well, you want to continue that. You do not hire in-house when things are not going well and there's chaos and turmoil potentially in the locker room and definitely within the organization. So I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. You have to be loving every second of this. Uh, I don't think it will end up being Schottenheimer. I think that's just like every 2 days it seems to cycle out who they think the next name is, and another name will be out there.
I
Um,
mean, like the Cowboys are like this famous brand. They got Jerry Jones, but they haven't made a conference championship since 1995, and I was born in '96. So ever since I've been alive, the Cowboys have sucked. So That's how I see them. That's how it's staying. I don't know what Jerry's gonna do. He likes discovering people. He likes calling them his own. I can see him like hiring some hotshot college guy and hoping it works out, and then taking all the credit for it. I feel
I
bad. I
am a
feel
little
bad.
surprised he hasn't like pulled up a Brinks truck on like a Dan Lanning or something like that. Honestly, if I'm Ryan Day, like I'd probably shoot my shot there. I don't see Ryan Day like pulling it off and being like making a dynasty out of Ohio State. I think he got lucky in a down year a little bit. So if he could ride some of that momentum, I think that would be a pretty decent move for Ryan Day. But
Yeah, I don't know. You know college a little better than I do. Who's the coach for USC? Um,
Lincoln Riley, like,
yeah, maybe that like
oh
look there.
yeah,
I don't know. I really hope Robert Saleh doesn't take it because I like him. And I don't want him going to another crap organization being a puppet from the owner. Yeah. All right. Let's get into gambling. Really easy lines this week. There are two games, both on Sunday. 3 p.m. We get Commanders at Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6 again. At 6:30, we get Bills at Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 1.5. Last week I took Eagles -6 was a push, and I took Bills money line hit. I am 4-0-1 in the playoffs, which haven't lost yet, which is pretty good. Andrew last week took Houston plus 8.5. Tough loss there, and he took the Bills, which hit. He is 3-2 in the playoffs. Andrew still has a great overall record of 34-21-1. This week, we're gonna bet both the games, two games, so we will bet them both. I will start it off. I'm taking the Commanders +6 against the Eagles. I'm just done. I mean, I haven't been betting against the Commanders, but I'm not going to bet against them with how they are playing. It feels foolish. Jaden Daniels is just that guy right now. And then I will take the Chiefs at home -1.5. Listen, if the Bills win this game, great for them. But if I bet against the Chiefs and they win, I'm just gonna feel like a fool. So I got to take the Chiefs -1.5. What do you got this week?
yeah, I'm in agreement with you on both games. I've got Washington. The Eagles could still win that game, but 6 points is a lot, especially with how well Washington's been playing. And then I did take Kansas City because I just refused to bet against them. I am terrified they do win this game by 1 point, and that -1.5 does not win. Because I could very much see that happening. But um, yeah, I'm with you on those. Uh, it's it's going to probably be two pretty close games from what I can tell. Um, Typically in close games, you want to be on Kansas City side, and in close games, if it's spread of 6, I'm gonna take the points.
I agree. All right. Props are already out. Normally they're not out this early. What is your favorite prop of the week?
I saw Mahomes at his prop was at 250 passing yards. I think he goes over that in this Buffalo game. I think he's going to have to. Um, I don't know if this is a game where they can quite just possess the ball and make it ugly and slow it down completely. It seems like Kelsey has found another gear now that we've reached the playoffs. So I think you see Mahomes spread around and go over that 250 number.
All right. Yeah, I got two props here. First one from the Chiefs. Kelsey over 70.5 yards. When the playoffs start, Kelsey heats up. They have his reception number over unders at 6.5. If he's anywhere near that number, he's going over 70 yards. If Kelsey gets 6 catches, he's going over 70 yards. Especially against this Bills defense. I think Kelsey's going to be open a ton over the middle. The other one I do like is Saquon's rush and receiving numbers together combined over 148.5. Last game he basically like hit that in the first half.
Yeah,
It's the Saquon Eagles right now. So like
yeah. I
rushing
think I think
rushing and
Gibbs might have hit that
receiving.
number by himself,
Yeah.
and he really didn't get a whole lot of carries in the second half. So
I mean, like if Saquon rushes for 100 and then gets 5 receptions for 50 yards, that's a hit right there. So I think over 148.5 combined rushing and receiving is a good prop there. All right. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. Not too many episodes remaining. I got this week, got Super Bowl. We'll get some talk going after the Super Bowl, but good luck to Andrew this week playing at the famous Torrey Pines out there on the West Coast. How's the weather?
It's actually quite nice in San Diego.
Nice. It's like about 10 degrees and icy here in Boston. So I hope you are enjoying it. All right.
Uh,
Any last words?
uh, Not really.
All right. Have a good week of football. Appreciate
Two
y'all
weeks of
listening,
football left.
and we will see y'all next week.